Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm trying to wait to for more people to join so that I can start with my talk for the next 20 minutes or so. I know we have like a short attention span these days, so I just want to keep it short. But hello, I hope that you guys are having a good day so far. I'm over here balancing myself. I'm excited and nervous about this talk. Or maybe I should just start, right? What do you say? Maybe I should just start, and then like when people come in, because this is going to be on the account for the day anyway. So I wanted to start promptly at 2, so I don't know if people will be here by that time. But at any rate, just a brief introductory who I am. My name is Nyah. I am a speaker, I'm a writer, I'm a visual artist, a lot of things under that name, and I can go on and on. But, today I really wanted to have a conversation, possibly instead of a monologue, have a dialogue with, 20-something in Black and, the audience here. And thank you to 20-something in Black also for featuring me and having me a part of your amazing community. I'm here for everything that it stands for. So I'm really about, our advancement as human beings, our development and our growth. And so, today my topic, or what I wanted to talk about, was for moving forward with 2018. I know right now everybody is like, it's almost like we feel that anxiety of the new year approaching, and we're like, we got to get to these goals, and it's a very anxious time, and it's also a time where people are trying to figure out, okay, what direction am I going in, and what direction am I taking my life? And so, obviously, like everyone else, I'm also dealing with that same question for myself. And, I think that it's so important for everyone to understand that no matter what it is that you're going after in life, no matter what it is that you're pursuing, whether it's, a certain career, or whether, it's whatever it is externally that you're trying to pursue and attain or accomplish / achieve, I think that it's really important to remember that the root of every single thing that you will ever acquire in your life is you. Like, you are that common denominator. You are that seed that you have to nurture, you have to care for, you have to know, you have to love. You know what I mean? You have to treat yourself as if you're a seed, because you are. And, we usually think that things start from the outside in, but it's actually the opposite. It starts from the inside out. And, anything that we see externally is just mirroring what's going on internally within us. So if we're imbalanced inside, we're going to see an imbalanced external, the world is going to mirror that. And so the world mirrors that in relationships, in our careers, in illnesses, in so many ways. And so it's so important, and I cannot stress that enough, to take care of you from the inside out. And so I have some notes here because I really want to stay on target, because I can go on talk forever. So, we're not one-dimensional, and I hope that everyone knows that. Like, we're not one-dimensional beings. We're human beings, but we're not just flesh and bones, you know what I mean? We are a spirit, we are a soul, and it goes deeper than this. That's why we feel things deeply. That's why we can connect to people's energies and to people beyond the body. It's because there is something beyond the body, and that's our soul, and that's the universe at large. And all of us, every human being, every animal, every object that you even think is not living, it is living, because everything is a vibration. Everything vibrates on a frequency, and we match that of which we have in our experience. So you can't have something in your experience unless you match it vibrationally, and that is just scientific facts. So I really wanted to bring light to that before I go any farther, because you are not just a body, right? And so you coming here, you manifesting and being here as a human being on earth in this time, you're here with a purpose, you know what I mean? And you're here to do something. And so it really disheartens me when people are just existing and they're not trying to find the deeper meaning of their lives. And so they just go about their life doing things just so robotically, as if there's nothing deeper to them. And there's something deeper, you know what I mean? There's something that you're here to do. And then you have that special gift that you have to deliver. You have a message that you're here to deliver, and no one can do that besides you. So I just want to bring about how unique you are and how unique that purpose is, because there's no soul like your soul here. You know what I mean? You may have soulmates, you may have twin flames, you may have, you know what I mean? But there will never be another soul that is you. And so you are here for a specific reason. And so it's important to understand that you're here dimensionally as a human being, but you're deeper than that also. And it's important for you to cultivate that relationship with yourself on that deeper level, so that whenever you're going out into the world and whatever it is that you're pursuing, you're doing that from a place of understanding with yourself. You're doing that from a place of knowingness within yourself. So you're not out in the world trying to be other people. You're not trying to copy other people. You're not becoming more dependent on the validation of other folks. You know what I mean? And so that's why in the beginning of this talk, I said that it's so important for you to cultivate that relationship with yourself, because if you don't, then we're going to be out here trying to be a carbon copy of other people, and we'll never really be able to deliver the message and be able to live out our purpose the way we're supposed to and do that fully, right? So, when we're growing up, like, you know, when we're born, from the moment we're born till we're about like 8 to 9 years old, like, that's when you're the most fertile soil, like, and anything that you experience, whether that's, you know, abuse in the home, whether that's a really healthy childhood, whether you were encouraged to be creative and expressive, or whether you were taught to be like, you know, to suppress your feelings, like, all of those things come back full circle when you're an adult, when you're a teenager, and they express themselves in different ways throughout your life. And so it's mad important for you to understand what the themes are of your life, and it's important to understand like why you do the things that you do. And so when you are out here doing things and when you are acting a certain way, you're not just doing that by default. You're not acting out your life just on default because this is the way you think you are, you know, this is what you think you're supposed to do. Like, there, again, like I said, there is a meaning and there is a purpose for you being here. So you're not here on accident. You are here on purpose, with a purpose. And it's important for you to remember that, because once you realize that you are here with a mission and on a mission, and you're here to give something to humanity, you're here to give something to the world, you'll understand why it's so important to cultivate that foundation and that seed within you. You know what I mean? Because again, you are the seed to every fruit that you'll bear externally. And so, hello, for those who just came in. So yeah, what I'm talking about is, you know, us being able to cultivate that relationship with ourselves and knowing ourselves. And again, like I mentioned, we're not one-dimensional. We're not two-dimensional. You know what I mean? We're souls that are here in a physical body with a purpose to create something, to deliver a message and to give something to the world. And so being able to understand, firstly, your mind, being able to pick up on the themes, being able to pick up on the patterns, being able to pick up, oh, of course. Thank you so much, Sadie. That means the world to me, beautiful. You know, being able to identify what thoughts are playing out in your head, being able to identify why you don't do certain things, being able to understand why you do certain things, because there's a reason for every single thing that you do and that you don't do. So it's like we usually think, oh, I'm just this way, but it's not true, because what you are is perfect. You know what I mean? You're not a flawed person. You are perfect. And the only thing that makes you flawed is your belief in yourself being flawed. The only thing that makes you imperfect is your belief that you are. You are perfect. And so to get back to the truth of who you are, you have to be able to unlearn to erase that programming from our childhoods and what we've been taught that has possibly made us insecure, fearful, doubtful, and feeling like we have to suppress our magic. You know what I mean? And so like, it's important. That's why I bring up the mental first, because it's so important for you to realize what's playing out. And it's not only on a conscious level, it's subconscious also. It's actually the subconscious level is where it gets really, really tricky, because the subconscious mind plays out things on autoplay. It makes decisions for you. And so you think, oh, I'm consciously making this decision for my life, but you're actually not. It's a subconscious that's playing out. And so your subconscious mind is communicating to your conscious mind. And then you're doing something, you're like, nope, I'm consciously making this decision. But if you realize, and if you start to practice observing your thoughts, and you really start practicing like paying attention and paying attention to what you're doing. And even when you say certain things, and I think relationships and friendships, and relationships, not only romantically, but in your friendships, in your family, like familiar relationships, people are reflecting back to you what your triggers are. They're reflecting back to you what your insecurities are. They're reflecting all of that back to you. So pay attention to what triggers you, like in other people, because that's something that you should be paying attention to within yourself, because everything starts with you. Because think about this, like, why would something bother me about one subject and then it doesn't bother another person? It's because of my experience. It differs from their experiences that we've had. And so we look at the world through a specific filter based on those experiences. So if we want to clean that slate, if we want to, bring back, like, I like to call it, go back to the zero place. We got to go back to ground zero so that we can unlearn and relearn intentionally and not by accident. Because I think as adults, we have that conscious decision to, like, we decide who we want to be around. We decide what we want to consume. That's information, that's food, it's all these different things. We decide what we want to consume, what we want to take in. When we're children, we don't have that much of a choice, because we have our families and we have all these other outside stuff coming in. And we're like, well, I guess I just have to be here and I just have to learn these things. But now you have a choice. And so I think now is a perfect time for all adults, every teenager, people who can consciously choose. I think that this is a time when you decide to clean the canvas. You decide, I'm no longer going to be an angry person. I'm not going to be jealous. I'm not going to be out here like, discriminating. I'm not going to be out here like, wishing bad on other people. I'm not going to be out here like, being triggered by everything that goes on externally. I think the most important thing is being balanced. And in order for you to be balanced, you got to be whole. And you have to be aware of your wholeness. You got to know that you're enough. You got to know that you're worthy. You got to know that you're not missing anything. So you're not out here trying to do more than you need to feel that validation. You know what I mean? Because if you're at home with yourself feeling valid, if you're at home with yourself feeling like I'm good enough, if you're at home with yourself knowing that you are being the truest to yourself, you're not responsible for how anybody else perceives that. And the thing about it is that when you know what goes on internally, and when you can accept yourself fully and not just a part of you and be like, oh, I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to, sweep that under the rug till whenever else, till it's a more appropriate time to deal with that thing that triggers me or XYZ. It's like, if you can accept yourself fully, meaning the stuff that is not desirable, the stuff that may not be attractive to you about yourself, the stuff that goes on in your mind that you think is really unattractive, if you can accept all of where you are right now, that's the perfect place for you to move forward. You know what I mean? Because you're solidifying your foundation. You're being true in who you are, and you're not living by default. You know what I mean? You're not just existing, and you're not just like, you're not trying to be anything but who you are. And it's like, I can't stress how important it is to get back to the core of what all of us are as individuals, and it takes work. And I always say that, growth is a choice. You don't just grow. You have to choose to grow. And in order for us to grow, we have to be able to we have to be okay getting a little uncomfortable, which is why I said, full acceptance of where you are can get uncomfortable, because you're like, damn, like, this is a part of me right now, and I really want to like shake it. I really want to be able to transcend this. And when you transcend, the things that you don't like about yourself, you can then stand on that as foundation, as a solid foundation. And then even with that, you walk with so much more confidence in who you are. You know what I mean? You're not apologizing for who you are, because you don't have to, because you know that you are choosing the path of growth. You're choosing the path of your truest self. You're not living on accident by accident. You're like, I'm purposely going to grow. I'm purposely going to get uncomfortable because I need to know all of myself. I cannot be a stranger to myself. And personally, the past 2 years of my life have been the most transformative for me, and they have also been the most uncomfortable time of my life. And I'm just going to give a little backstory because I feel like it's really important to establish some type of premise for why I'm even having this conversation. Because for all of my 20s, I pretty much disliked myself. I disliked the way that I looked. I disliked so much about myself. I was never good enough for myself. And so I was never good enough for anyone else. And that really reflected in relationships. That reflected in more than one way. You know what I mean? But, one way that it became massively obvious to me that this self-hate that I had was manifesting, it came to the physical, and I started to have severe acne. And I don't mean just little, I started to have really severe acne. And so that self-hate that I felt within me, again, it was manifesting externally. And until I started, and additionally, what I started to do, I would look at myself, and I would wince when I look at myself. I would wake up every single morning with the expectation that I was going to be breaking out, or that I was going to be ugly, or that XYZ, you know what I mean? All of these negative, self-depreciating thoughts that I got used to, and those thoughts built so much momentum. And so that's why my skin started to manifest that, because it wasn't just an accident why my skin started to break out in the ways that it was. And until I started to do spiritual work on myself, until I started to look at myself from the inside out, I wasn't able to heal my skin. And now I'm so surprised at the fact that my skin has healed in the way that it has, because for the past 4 years, up until the end of last year, when I really got deliberate about my inner work, I was wearing makeup often. Not often, every single day I was wearing makeup. There was not a day that I would not wear makeup, because I wanted to uphold this identity of being pretty when I was trying to prove myself to the world, when I wasn't even proving my self-worth to myself, or why I was even worthy to myself. You know what I mean? And so the end of last year, I decided I'm just gonna stop. It got to a point where me putting on makeup was a reiteration of self-hate. It was a reiteration that I wasn't good enough in my flaws. It was reiteration that me alone, without the addition of anything else, was not good enough. It was literally that reiteration every single day. And that also picked up momentum. And so I ended up in a place with myself where it's I just hated I just hated it all. I hated looking at myself. I hated putting on the makeup. I hated the feeling of hating myself. And so I knew that something had to change. And so at the end of last year, I challenged myself to not wear makeup for 5 days. Or was it a week? I think it was, for 5 days with no makeup. And at the time, that was so huge for me, because I was wearing makeup, again, every single day. And I mean foundation, concealer, to conceal my flaws and all. And so that the first day, ended up being the 5 days, and those 5 days ended up being majority of this entire year. And when I started to take that look at myself from the inside out, my skin slowly but surely started to heal. And today, my skin is the clearest it's been, and still flawed, because I still have scars and blemishes that are healing. But it's the smoothest my skin has been. It's the clearest my skin has been. And I had to go through that stage of massive discomfort of, being out there with red blemishes, and being out there with hella scars on my face, and being out there with acne, and feeling deeply insecure about it. But knowing that if I was wearing that makeup still, it would have been hurting me deeper on a spiritual level if I continued doing that. And so that just brings about, and that's just a quick summary, because it goes way deeper. But I wanted to share that with you, because people usually take that inner work lightly, but it's not to be taken lightly, because everything starts from the inside out. Like, whatever is going on internally, you're going to manifest externally. The beliefs that you have in yourself, how worthy, how unworthy, how beautiful, how not beautiful you feel, how magnificent, how magical you feel, how worthy you feel, how enough you feel, or the lack of those feelings, they will always show on the outside. And it's not just in one way. Like I said, for me, it was a disease, an illness of my skin. That was one of the ways that it manifested. And for other people, it manifests in a plethora of different ways, but they take these things on as, oh, this is just normal. Like, I'm just going through this and this is what it is. And it's just like, not really. Like, everything that makes you uncomfortable externally, it is a clear reflection of something that you need to be paying attention to internally. So when you start to appreciate you, when you start to defy those thoughts and those mental patterns that are playing out in your mind about yourself, when you start to defy those, when you start to put them in their place, when you start to suck the life force from those thoughts that make you hate yourself, that make you not take chances, that make you fear the world, that makes you feel insecure, the first thing is knowing that they're there and bringing awareness to them, literally going in and shedding light on every single part of you. Because if you're not shedding light on all parts of you, literally you will be a stranger to yourself. And this year has been one of those years where it's like, damn, like, I didn't even know that there was so much going on inside of me that I still needed to weed out. And you are a garden. And so you got to go in and you got to stand guard to the door of your mind, because your mind will just come up. Like, there will be so many things that go through your mind every single day, every single moment, every quantum second. And if you don't pay attention to what is going on in your mind, and if you start to focus on one thing that makes you feel negative, like about yourself, if you just pick that out of the plethora of thoughts that you could be thinking, and you give that energy and you give that momentum, whatever you shed, whatever you give attention to, is where energy is going to continuously flow, and it's going to build momentum, and it's going to build momentum. That's why I said, when you're growing up, certain thoughts that you get exposed to certain things, and you start to feel like, oh, this is me and this is just how I feel about myself, but it's not true. You are perfect. And I cannot express that enough. And it sounds cliche, but it's really not. Like, you are perfect. And so it's our duty to get back to that perfection. It's our duty to get back to the truth of who we are. And it's your responsibility. It's my responsibility. And it's like, the moment that we stop playing victim to the world, the moment we stop playing victim to other people and take responsibility for our own lives and our own foundation, and take control of what is ours, which is our life. Your life is yours. My life is mine. How can anybody be responsible for my life? How can anybody be responsible for your life? You know what I mean? Like, we wait for people to save us. We wait for someone to come and just make it all better. But no one can ever give you what you are giving you yourself. You know what I mean? So whether that's hate, no one can give you hate if you're not giving yourself hate. No one can give you love if you're not giving yourself love, because it will never be enough. You know what I mean? People, and I'm speaking from experience, stay in abusive relationships, verbally or physically abusive relationships, because that is how they're treating themselves. That's what they feel they are worthy of. The moment you start to take your power back, and you start to realize how worthy you are of love and bliss and expansion and abundance, you literally will not accept anything externally that you yourself aren't giving you inside. So I really just have to bring about that awareness to, like, how we see ourselves, how that mental pattern is playing out in our minds, and really, like, being able to cultivate that relationship with ourselves first. Because whatever is external, like, it really, I just had deja vu. That's crazy. I'm having deja vu right now. This is insane. Yeah, so the moment you start to value you, the moment you start to love you on a level where you want other people to love you, like, you'll start to attract, and you'll see it. It's like magic. It's no joke. When you start to love yourself, and when you start to value yourself first and foremost, that's when I think, that's when I know the external world will start to reflect that love that you're giving to yourself. You know what I mean? And so I already spoke about, identifying the mental patterns, identifying the mind games that we play with ourselves, identifying, what the things that we say about ourselves to ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, we have to really start to identify what those mental patterns are. Thank God for you, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, thank you so much. Y'all are so sweet. I'm like mad nervous and I hope that y'all can't tell, but I'm just trying to speak from my heart right now. So yeah, you have to remember that you're so perfect and that you're good. Like and you know what? Like, it's really uncomfortable for us to take responsibility for ourselves. Because, it's easier for us to point the finger and saying, I'm like this because of you. I'm like this because of that. I went through this and that's why I'm going to be cold-hearted. And we can, there's no shortage of reasons why we can play the victim. Like, we can play the victim for so many reasons. Because again, no shortage of reasons. You know what I mean? But the moment you start to take responsibility, y'all, like the moment you start to say, whatever I went through, that is about to be the foundation for what I stand on, because I'm not going to be subjected to a mediocre life. I'm not going to be subjected to scarcity. I'm not going to be subjected to self-hate, because I need to show up for myself before I expect anyone to show up for me. I need to be here present for myself, for my own growth, for my own evolution, first and foremost. And so, the topic of this talk was laying the foundation, right? And I think that the first step in that direction is being able to identify you within yourself, being able to call out yourself within yourself, being able to identify and pay attention to yourself. Because again, like, if you're a stranger to yourself, people cannot even get to know the real you. You can't even walk in your truth, because you don't even know yourself enough to walk in your truth. You know what I mean? And that's why we see people on social media, we see people out in the world, and we're like, oh, I want to be like that. But if you were to become your truest self, imagine how amazing that is. Imagine how beautiful of an example you're setting for yourself, first and foremost. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, we get this idea that we're not enough. We get this idea that we're lacking something. We get this idea that we're not beautiful. We get this idea that I can't do that because no, who cares? You know what I mean? And we literally play out all these thoughts in our heads that we don't ever pay attention to, that we don't realize is playing out in our subconscious mind. And so I just really want y'all to start focusing on that, start observing your thoughts. And when you start to move beyond the mind, when you start to realize that your mind is not all that is, your mind is just a fragment, a tool for you to utilize, in this lifetime, like use your mind to assist you. Use your mind to help you. Don't just allow your mind to go on autoplay and tell you all these things about yourself that is making you feel shitty, that's making you depressed, that's making you not take chances in your life. You know what I mean? Like, that's the reason why I keep reiterating, pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to that, because everything that's planted consciously is going to eventually, no matter, depending on how much energy you're giving it, is going to start to play out on a subconscious level. And so you start to literally just keep acting out of these subconscious beliefs about yourself. So first and foremost, pay attention to your thoughts, and you're going to start to be able to see all these things that you need to weed out. Like, no, I'm going to get that out of here. I'm getting that out of there. Like, literally, that's just how it works. And the moment you become aware is the moment you can do something about it. The moment you take responsibility for your life is the moment you can act with urgency, the moment you can act with that sense of confidence in, this is my life, and I'm not going to allow anyone to make these decisions for me. I'm going to make a decision for myself because I'm showing up for myself. I'm going to know myself inside out. I'm going to go in there with the lantern, and I'm going to look around myself, and I'm going to be like, oh, you don't I don't want to see that, but you know what? I need to see it, and I need to pay attention to that, because if I'm not paying attention to that, there's something that's going to trigger that same thing that's in the darkness over there, and then I'm going to be acting out of all these, the hatred and the stuff that's subconsciously embedded that we don't pay attention to. Pay attention to every part of yourself. pay attention to every part of yourself. Please, please do. And do not be a stranger to yourself. Because if you're a stranger to you, again, as I reiterated earlier, the world cannot know who you truly are. And I really, really do think the world deserves to know who everyone is, the truth of who they are, at the very core of who they are. And secondly, the next thing I'll mention, is observing your thoughts, observing what mental patterns are playing out. And secondly, pay attention to your heart. You know what I mean? They say women have this deep intuition, and I do feel like, women have a womb. We create, we birth, we build, we literally create life. And so I do feel have like a deeper sense of intuitive guidance. You know what I mean? And this goes beyond religion. This goes beyond, this quote unquote spirituality or consciousness. This is about you listening to your internal guidance system. And every single every human, men and women, we all have a internal guidance system, and that's our intuition. And so really, really take advantage of, not take advantage, I don't even like how that sounds. Really listen to your intuition. When something doesn't feel right, it's not right. And you have to be courageous enough to let things fall by the wayside. You need to be courageous enough to stand up for yourself because something is not right for you. Even sometimes when we want things to be right for us and it isn't, our spirit is communicating to us at all times. So do not shut out your spirit, because if you literally just disregard what is trying to come through, disregard what your soul is trying to communicate to you through your heart space, it's like you're literally shutting out the bigger part of you, your higher self. You know what I mean? Like, I like to think of it like, us as human beings, where here on earth, where this is our smaller self, but our souls, that's our bigger self. And we're always in connection. You cannot sever that connection. And so your soul is always communicating to you. That's why when people pray, that's why when people meditate, you do those things because you're trying to connect to your higher self. And so listen to your heart, because that's how things are communicated to you. I say heart and intuition interchangeably, but I mean the same thing. Listen to that gut feeling that you have about things. And if you have a question about something that you don't know if you need to be going in this direction or that direction, listen to your gut. Listen to your intuition. Be guided by your intuition, because the way I see that too is like you listening to God. You know what I mean? You listening to the universe at large. You listening to the powers that you are a part of, because you are a part of that perfect creation. But that communication and that channel of communication, you can continually build and nurture that communication, that connection that you have with God or with the universe or whatever anyone likes to call it. We're all referring to this same exact thing. So alongside listening to your mind, not listening, but observing your mind and seeing what patterns play out, when you're able to really listen to your gut and listen to the truth of who you are, which is always there, you could always connect to that. All you have to do is get quiet enough to listen. You know what I mean? Get quiet enough to hear your own self, because it's so much noise all the time, especially in this day and age. It's like we can't go a second without picking up our phones. We can't go a second without talking to someone. It's like, listen to you. Listen to your own guidance. You know what I mean? Sometimes we want to reach out to other people and ask for their opinion. Listen to your guidance system. You know what I mean? That's optimum. That's top level. It doesn't get any better than that. So start to cultivate that relationship with yourself, where it's you move from a space of surety within yourself. You move from a space of knowing within yourself. And that space of knowing is you listening to that heart, listening to your gut. You know what I mean? And being guided by that at all times. And then using your mind as a tool to assist what your heart desires. You know what I mean? And us really being able, and and I'll say this too, as another example for what I've experienced. For a very long time, I was, even in college, I'm I don't know what I'm doing. I need to, I knew that I wanted to be in fashion, and I'm I'm going to be in fashion. I'm going to do fashion PR. And that changed to styling, and that changed this and changed to that. But when I graduated college and when I started to pay attention to myself deeper, and when I started to listen to myself deeper, I realized that the thing that I want to do with my life, at least something I could go all in on right now that I've always been doing, is singing. And that's something that I love, something that makes my soul feel alive. You know what I mean? And I always doubted myself. I always told myself, no, I'm not going to do it because everybody sings. Until little by little, as I got closer to myself, it started to feel like I was depriving myself of my own gifts. And so it became hurtful to do that. So I started to sing in little close intimate spaces. And now I'm like pursuing it. Now, as I started to walk on my path, the producers are coming to me, the sound engineers are coming to me, people who make beats. I already sing, I already write my own songs. And it's like, wow, like once you start to walk in your truth, the world, the universe just starts to conspire and give you, it's almost like your little baby. You start crawling, and you get that assistance, but you got to make that first step, you know what I mean? And you got to show up for you first. So show up for yourself. Do not be a stranger to yourself. Listen to yourself. Listen to what your gut is saying. You know what I mean? And observe what your mind is telling you so that you can pick out and weed out what is not serving your growth and what's not serving your expansion. Show up for you first. And when you show up for you, you'll realize that the universe, people, opportunities, they all start to show up inevitably and innately because you are the seed to every single one of those opportunities, to every single one of those relationships that you want to cultivate. You know what I mean? To all the abundance, the prosperity that you are seeking, all the fulfillment. You have to first reach that level within yourself, align your mind, align your heart, align your spirit, and make sure that that truth of who you are is able to even express itself. Do not suppress yourself. Don't suppress any part of yourself. At least not to you. I'm not saying you have to be out here telling people all of what you're going through, but don't be a stranger to you. I keep saying it and I'm sorry, but like it's just so massively important. So when you accept yourself in your wholeness, one, you'll be more compassionate towards other people because you realize that other people are going through the same shit that you're going through. You understand that everyone is suffering at a certain level. You start to realize that someone who's mean to you is not actually wanting to be mean to you. They're being mean to themselves, and that's a reflection of what they're going through. You know what I mean? So when you start to show up for you, you're more compassionate to everyone else. You start to create deeper relationships with people. You start to get more clear about the direction you want to take your life. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think, I don't want to keep reiterating the same thing, but I just wanted to get this conversation started. And, you know, I do hope that this has planted some sort of seed that allows you to take a look within yourself. And, you know, additionally, before I close this conversation, I write weekly inspiration letters to my tribe via email every single Friday, where I write about topics that are concerning our growth and our expansion. I share my experiences. I share other people's experiences. And I really try to assist in the best way that I can to, you know, the people who are part of my tribe and everyone else, even people who aren't opted into my email list. Like I still, even via my Instagram, like I really am committed to reminding people of their innate greatness and their, you know, just their magic, because you're so magical. You really are. So if you'd like to be added to that, to be added to my weekly inspiration letters, you can send me a DM with your email and I'll go ahead and add you myself manually. So with that said, I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for tuning into this conversation. Thank you for showing up for yourself. You are here for a reason. You came across this conversation that I was having for a reason. And so nothing is on accident. Everything is on purpose. So show up for you. And at some point, I think that we all need to hear this message. So know it all starts with you. You are the seed to every fruit you bear. So make sure you are good at home with you. Make sure that you're good at home with yourself, because that's where it all starts. So anyways, again, sending you massive amounts of love, much expansion. And I truly, truly wish all of you expansive love and limitless love and balance, you know what I mean, within yourself. So much love, much light. Thank you so much, Sadie. Again, you've been so awesome. You've assisted me in feeling better about being on here, because I'm so shy when it comes on to this. But thank you so much, darling, and I wish you the best. I wish you the best, and reach out to me anytime. You can DM me, or you can any of the above, okay? So again, much love, much light, and I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.